This is a big shout out to everybody in the Steamer and Digibike communities. Today I picked up an article that was in the Coin Telegraph, so big shout out to the Coin Telegraph for publishing the article. I'll put a link to the article below in the blog. The article talked about blockchain mortgages and how in the future mortgages are going to be migrated onto the blockchain. Now, for the last 5 years, I've been trying to explain that in the future, financial derivatives and financial instruments, credit default swaps, mortgage-backed securities, collateralized debt obligations, all these fancy financial derivatives and financial instruments which do nothing more than take the risk element of the asset and push it into the future. And rather than tackling the systemic risk that we actually really should be tackling today, it's taking it and it's pushing it further and further into the future with these financial derivatives. Now, about 5 years ago, I started to share on Twitter a campaign, and the campaign about 5 years ago was talking about there's not one person on the planet that is smart enough to calculate the systemic risk of the financial derivatives, the global financial derivatives, which at the moment stands at a tune of around about 1.5 quadrillion. Now, these financial derivatives are taking instruments, financial instruments, and basically doing nothing more than taking a gamble as to whether the derivative or whether the underlying asset is actually going to go up or down in value. So the risk element of these instruments is what is really controlling the whole global market, the whole financial market. And when I started to talk about 5 years ago about the systemic risk of the global financial system and using a campaign saying that there's not one person smart enough on the planet to calculate the systemic risk, I stand by what I've been saying now for the last 5 years. And when I read this article by Coin Telegraph saying that the financial markets or the mortgage markets are going to migrate onto the blockchain, well, we're talking trillions. You know, about about 6 months ago, I started to say that the cryptocurrency market is going to be worth in excess of 50 trillion. Now, $50 trillion for the cryptocurrency market at the moment, we all know it's around about 0.2 of a trillion, 200 billion. To go from 200 billion to 50 trillion in the space of about 5 years, people think this is crazy. You know, people really do challenge this and say, well, this is just crazy to say 50 trillion. And I put out a Twitter poll last week, and I talked about what do people think is going to be the cryptocurrency value at the end of 2023. Now, when I said it's going to be in excess of 2 trillion, people thought that was just mad. You know, some people agree with me, some people disagree with me. But when you start looking at the mortgage market and saying, well, this is going to migrate onto the blockchain in order to calculate the systemic risk, 50 trillion is pocket change. I've been saying 2 trillion's pocket change, but we're talking hundreds of trillions, because these derivatives, they take the asset and leverage the asset in order to try and, you know, take a leveraged position. And these financial instruments, if you take the whole 1.5 quadrillion and say overnight that we're going to move it onto a blockchain system, a derivatives blockchain system, then you actually have to understand, in order for it to work, the underlying asset is a digital asset, nothing to do with a dollar or a yen or a euro or a sterling. It's the actual digital asset that has to be held. So I can't stress enough that when people start understanding that the financial market and the financial system as we have now, people think that it's the stock market, and they look at the stock market and they say, oh, the stock market's gone up 500 points or the stock market's gone down 500 points, and therefore the economy is going up or the economy is going down. The economy and the stock market are two completely separate things. And I've been challenging so-called experts, economists on this for years. People think, and they talk about a double dip, and they've been wired to be told that if the stock market goes up and comes down and then goes up and comes down, that's double dip. Therefore, the economy is in a double dip. No. The stock market is a manipulated instrument that is supposed to be the economy, is supposed to represent the economy. But when you have a situation where, in order to maintain a growth, and at the moment we've got a $75 trillion GDP, global GDP, in order to maintain that growth, if you have to pump in $4 of debt to maintain $1 of GDP, does that mean that the economy is strong? Well, no. What actually is happening is, in order to maintain the growth of the economy, if you are pumping $4 in order to achieve $1 growth, then what you're actually doing is you're taking a huge amount of risk from the future, bringing it in today so that you can spend and enjoy what's actually happening today. And down the line, that debt has to be paid off. So when people think, or when people say that the economy's going well because the stock market's going up, big mistake, huge mistake. And what is going to happen over the next 5 years up to 2023? The financial system, as we know it, cannot be systemically risk evaluated, because it is so interconnected internationally. And when people suddenly realise that there's not one person on the planet, one institution on the planet, smart enough to calculate the systemic risk of the global financial system, and only blockchain will achieve that, this is a game changer. This is a real game changer. And at the moment, we haven't even scratched the surface on these financial derivatives. Not even scratched the surface. So I really want people to start thinking, not how much is the cryptocurrency market worth today in dollar terms. Forget the dollars, forget the sterling, forget the euros, forget any fiat currency, forget it, bin that system. That system has come to its end. What you have to do is you have to look at the digital asset side of the cryptocurrency market. And when you realise what is going to happen in the future, we are in for a ride of our lives. So massive shout out to the Steemit community, massive shout out to the Digibyte community. Really look forward to going down to London on the 18th of November, and hopefully get to talk to some of you guys face to face. Looking forward to meeting Gerard Tate. Huge big shout out to Steph, an amazing organizer. So big shout out to Steph for what she's done over the last couple of weeks. Big shout out to the guys from the Digibite awareness team. I know that Dino and Rudy are working tirelessly in the background promoting it, so huge shout out to you guys, and really look forward to seeing everybody in London on the 18th of November. Cheers guys, speak to you soon. Bye for now.